Mhm. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Everyday Riches Show. I am Pat Knauer, one of the hosts here. I'm a business coach with Corner Office University, and my co-host is
Barbara Loonan Ellison, and I'm a personality science speaker, and we are so excited to have you here with us today.
Yes, and our guest today, it's so exciting, is Pasha Marlowe. And I don't know how many of you know Pasha, but you're going to get to know her really well because she is a total hoot and just a blast to be around. So let me tell you a little bit about Pasha, because she is somebody that if you have not done work with, or if you have not had a conversation with, really seriously, you're missing out on something. She is such a gift. So Pasha is a life and laughter coach who helps people reframe their stories through the lens of humor so they can take back their power and reclaim their worthiness of joy. Pasha is the creator of Roar with Laughter, a groundbreaking 8-week coaching program that moves people from rupture to rapture through comedic storytelling. The program culminates with a live comedic performance. Now, does that sound like fun? And if you haven't looked at Pasha's website, it's pashamarlowe.com, and you can also reach her through Facebook. But anyway, Pasha, I'm so happy you're here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Pat and Barbara.
So tell us, first of all, how did you get on the path of doing laughter?
Well, this isn't going to be funny at all, but I came to laughter and lightness and comedy through grief. And that's not terribly uncommon for comedians or humorists to look at life in one way and then kind of transform it and see if they could find like an alternate way to see it. But I was experiencing grief because my youngest son was in the middle of chronic illness and chronic pain and a lot of suffering. And frankly, we needed to figure out a way to keep him in the game and keep him alive and wanting to be here. So in our grief, I decided to access the opposite, which to me meant life and laughter and joy and worthiness of joy. So yeah, that's how it started. I know it's not the funny answer.
Well, not everything in life is funny, but no. I mean, finding the joy in everything makes a huge difference in life.
Right. Yes, I just didn't know it. For 49 years, I did not laugh or access humor. So it's really interesting and ironic that it would take facing death and loss to finally find the power and the beauty of humor and laughter.
So when somebody comes to
that's so absolutely.
Go ahead, Barb.
No, yeah, that's absolutely so true. Because people ask me how I came to happiness too, and it was when my husband passed away.
Exactly.
And you just there's so often it comes from a place of grief and loss, and then all of a sudden you realize, okay, you've gone, you have to go on.
Exactly. It's reclaiming life, reclaiming desire, reclaiming pleasure, reclaiming joy, and taking our power back in a situation that feels powerless. Yeah, it's really healing.
Yeah. So when people come to you, are they typically going through grief, or are they typically at a changing point in their life, or what's going on with them typically?
Well, this year, everybody's going through some hard stuff. So this year, most of the people that have come to me have come in transition of some sort, either transitioning in or out of a relationship or an addiction, coming to terms with their sexuality, coming to terms with a mental health issue, wanting to reclaim their worth in their work, financially claiming what they're worth, really just wanting to step into their power and be more visible. There's a lot of trauma. Of course, everybody experiences trauma. There's a lot of sexual and religious trauma in the past stories of the women I work with. And the whole idea is to take all of that, any of our limiting beliefs and past traumas and past stories that hold us back, and then reframe them through the lens of humor. So it really could be anything, but it's not always grief. A lot of it is rage, like underlying the grief is rage, anger towards everything from patriarchy to past abusers to 2020.
Oh, so you do light work.
I know it sounds so heavy. It's like I'm either really heavy and have no ability to have small talk anymore, or I'm like laughing and being silly. And I think it's a paradox, but the two work together. But yeah, it does feel like light work. And I read that that enlightenment might just be simply lightening up. And I like that idea because it doesn't feel shallow to me to do this work, even though had you talked to me 2 years ago, I would have said laughter and comedy and improv, that's fun, but the real work is in, talking about trauma. And now I realize that it's actually through accessing the comedy and the humor that we can relate to and thrive through talking about trauma. It doesn't weigh us down as much. We're able to lighten up and still process our trauma.
So when somebody comes to you,
right,
and they are, feeling kind of heavy, how do you get them to access humor?
Yeah, we start with the rupture. Like I hold space for at least the first 2 weeks. So it's 8 weeks. For the first week, we're just telling our stories. Like, tell the stories of trauma, tell your birth stories, tell the stories that are heartbreaking, that you feel like, oh, I've told this story so many times, or you don't want to hear this story. I'll hear women say, it's not really trauma. It's not as bad as other people's trauma. Like but they're holding it and it holds them back. And so offering the space and holding the space for people to speak their stories of whatever they might be, and then allowing them to write, sing, poetry, rap, whatever they do, with the story as it is, holding them back currently. And so then we start to look for the humor around the edges. Like, even though you lost your mother and were at her deathbed, what happened that day, that week, that month, that year? What happened? What is your mother like? What happened in the hospital? Who was there? What did the nurses say? What songs did you sing? Like, and then throughout all this conversation about what really happened, there's always something bizarre or funny or light and peculiar, and like, ooh, can I even laugh about that? Is that inappropriate to laugh about? But that's where we take our power back. And then we tell the story, including the humor. And then almost every time we think back to this moment of grief, whatever it might be, rather than us only holding it in heaviness, there's this spark of hilarity to it. Yeah. And that's the catharsis of it. But we do it through storytelling. We do it through sisterhood, empathetic, safe sisterhood. The groups are small. I've never had a group more than 10. So it's usually 6 to 10 women. And it's, a tiny container where we become friends and support system for each other. And we feel safe talking about our most challenging of stories.
Does it ever become a competition to make the stories funnier?
Like within each other, like who's good?
Yeah.
I think there's some at first, like people say, "Oh, I have to follow that." Like they're like, this in our last show last week. There's a woman who brilliantly talked about religious trauma while playing her guitar, while storytelling, while being funny, and connected somehow religious trauma to Christmas Carol. A song. And we were, I mean, some people are just naturally multi-talented and that, so it's a little intimidating, but then a woman just as brilliant in her performance did she read "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," but she twisted the words, and it was simple, and the story was about her coming out of the closet and talking about her sexuality, and it was so powerful and simple. And so it doesn't always have to be grand. But yeah, I think there's just this natural sense of, oh, am I funny enough, or am I performer enough? And most people who come to the program are not comedians or performers at all. They might enjoy it, or maybe like way back in high school they did theater and it's something that's still in them, but they don't explore it anymore. That's common, that there's a background in comedy or theater, but yeah, nobody comes in with professional experience at all. Yeah.
Is there ever a sense of, when people are talking to you about joining your program, that their trauma isn't bad enough or big enough?
All the time, and especially this year, and it's interesting when we break down the traumas, how they feel. This is me talking now as with my therapist hat on, because I was a marriage and family therapist and studied psychology most of my life. And it's cumulative. The traumas that happened are inherited traumas that we never, that our parents and our grandparents experienced, the traumas that we don't remember that we experienced in our childhood, cumulative on just life's stressors and society and patriarchy and the culture of politics and the culture of the world right now. And so all of that just builds. And so we hold space for everybody's experience of trauma. But yes, there's that sense of, if there wasn't significant sexual or physical abuse, then their trauma doesn't count. Or they say, I don't have PTSD because I never went to war. That's a common statement. So then I just bring in the trauma work and awareness that I have, and hold space for all of the difficult emotions and heartache, whether we call it trauma or not. Yeah, because we all have
one of the things. Yeah, one of the things for me, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because many years ago, I got attacked by a dog, and it was a very sudden attack, and then finally, my daughter-in-law looked at me and she said, Barb, you need to go talk to somebody, because you're not right. There's something wrong.
Yes.
And so a friend of mine is a trauma coach, and she was like, Barb, yeah, you've got some PTSD in there. And I went, PTSD? I haven't been to war. I got attacked by a dog. Yeah, no, you still have that sense of not being in control, that when a big dog, still now, when a big dog comes near me, I cringe, I flinch. And that's all. But I had to go through that. One day a dog came near me and I was absolutely paralyzed in a bush. My grandson had to come and rescue me.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's what happens. So now I can laugh about it.
Right. And that trauma, had you not process it, told a friend or talked to a therapist about it, or did some sort of work to release it, would stay in your body. It would become toxic. Right. It could turn into anything from a fear of dogs to chronic throat pain to tummy issues to insomnia. I mean, like, the list goes on and on, where how the trauma stays in our body. And then the fear and that, constant alertness and fight or flight wreaks havoc on your nervous system. So yeah, it's so good to process it. And yet many of us don't think, oh, well, I'm not going to. I just last week, actually, I was getting a massage. There was nothing unsafe that was happening during the massage, but something triggered inside of me that I felt terrified. I heard a noise. I don't know why I was terrified from it, but the rest of the week, just like you're saying, I did not feel right. And I called a couple of friends. I'm like, this is going to sound weird, because I think it was a fire massage, but it just felt horrible. I had like a heaviness in my chest. I wasn't sleeping for the last week.
Right.
Everything felt off. And so we release our stress in many ways. And there's a beautiful book called Burnout about this. You could release it through talking, crying, laughing, singing, tapping. There's so many ways. Yesterday, I accessed all that and acupuncture, which helped tremendously. But I think it's so important to acknowledge and honor those moments when we're feeling off, we're feeling triggered. And no matter how small it seems, to get it out somehow so it doesn't take hold. It really can cause a lot of physical and emotional pain to hold on to those stories.
And since trauma lives in every cell of your body,
exactly.
You brought out a good point that, just even going to have a massage can trigger something that you don't even realize is even in there. I think about, when I was a kid in elementary school, kindergarten, and I kissed a boy, or he kissed me, or whatever happened. I don't remember the memory. I just know that it happened. And yet, the kids picked on both of us relentlessly. And, that was a trauma experience that you wouldn't think would be any big deal, but, it does live in the cells.
And you remember it so vividly, you've played it back however many times in your mind. And often it's at night that we, roll these tapes over and over in our head. So yeah, getting them out. And even just saying it now, it's like one more time that it releases from your throat, from your belly, from your pelvis, wherever you hold on to that trauma, and it brings you through to the healing. And then maybe there's something actually slightly funny about that. That's what I would say. It was like, there's probably something funny about that kiss or related to it, and potentially even the dog situation. That we
I can look back now and I can picture myself being paralyzed in a bush. I mean, I was literally practically sitting in a bush, a tree bush. And I look back now and I can actually laugh about it because it was funny, because I was like,
it's so good.
But I was in a bush on the side of a trail that I had taken my dog for a walk, and this other big dog got loose and was at it. It actually was a friendly dog, but I can remember just screaming, and then John had to come and rescue me. And he was he's a teenager, and I can look back now and go, oh yeah, I laugh about it. At the time, I was just absolutely frozen.
Absolutely. And it's such a perfect
example for help.
Right. And if you were to do that through a comedy routine, you would exaggerate it. You'd exaggerate what it felt like to be stuck in the bush, or how big the dog was, even if the dog was this big, and your teenage, boy coming to help you, like all the things. It could become an hilarious story. And now all of a sudden, when you think back to that, those are the emotions and feelings that come up. Right. And if we do that with our hardest of emotions that are holding us back from living a life of joy, then that's really fun. There were a lot of Roar graduates who just did the program. They said, I do not know how I could have made it through this tense election cycle, the unknowing, the uncertainty on top of the uncertainty on top of the uncertainty, if I wasn't singing about it and dancing about it and writing poetry about it and laughing about it. So I'm thrilled that it's providing such healing for people. It's exactly what I intended, and it's frankly healing for me every single time I gather with people or talk about it. And because I'm talking about difficult topics like suicide and grief and fearing losing my son, if I wasn't talking about this through the lens of comedy, I would be bawling my eyes out, and I would be exhausted to talk about it. So there's some benefit to keeping it a little bit lighter so we could survive it.
Do you ever do one-on-one work, or is it all group?
Thank you for asking, Pat.
My pleasure.
I do have one-on-one clients. I have openings for one-on-one clients. I usually work with people for 3 months at least, but 3 months is a good time to start with, where we have weekly calls. And you don't have to put on a comedy show at the end of the 3 months. It's just, and it's not always even about laughter. I mean, we talk about everything in my life coaching sessions. A lot of what we talk about is pleasure. And one of my mottos is let pleasure be the measure. And I'm not just talking about sexual pleasure, but we do talk about sexual pleasure with people or ourselves. But I also just talk about accessing pleasure and coming back to what is it that you really want, and what is it that you really need, and what thrills you and what lights you up. And to access that at times when there's other struggles and challenges going on. And so I have some clients who are working through grief and loss and anger and breakups and suicidal ideation. And we're also talking about art and poetry and nature and the fun aspects to their life, and combining those two and making sure that we're bringing the pleasure back into our conversation constantly.
So if somebody is struggling right now, and then
Pasha,
go ahead, Barb.
No, I was just going to ask, a friend of mine does laughter yoga. Is that something that you do also?
I do every Tuesday and Thursday morning, in fact, at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
Yeah. That's new, but it's really fun because people come from around the world. It's sometimes just a tiny group, but it's just such a pleasure to laugh with people from around the world. It's beautiful. And it's hard because we just don't come to the calls wanting to laugh. all the time. We don't come and then we go, ha, 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 ha. And then we start laughing. We're like, oh, we're actually laughing. Oh, I think I actually am happy now. Oh, good. And then the whole day changes.
I am actually laughing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know what you were going to ask, Pat, but it would occur to me, even just the choice, Barbara, of like you choosing to wear bright blue glasses. I'm sure for you, this is just everyday occurrence now because that's who you are. But that choice to be playful reframes probably everything you think about yourself when you look at yourself, and it reframes the conversation in just seeing the glasses as an outsider. I'm like, oh, I'm in the presence of play. It just helps to reframe everything. So I'm just, it doesn't have to be huge performances. Sometimes it's just small choices we make. Anyhow, I just wanted to get that out before I forgot. So sorry, Pat, we both interrupted your really
all good. Yeah. It's just this is kind of a free flow thing. So if somebody's not quite ready to get real help, like from you, what is one thing that they could do to start bringing more pleasure and more laughter into their lives?
I did not realize that some comedy that's available on Netflix or YouTube or free all over the internet is extremely intellectual and sophisticated, and a wide variety of comedians out there. So for instance, there's a comedian named Tig Notaro who does some of her comedy about surviving breast cancer and getting a mastectomy. And another woman I'm thinking about talks about her attention deficit, or another one talks about suicide or mental health issues. And so you could type into your browser comedians who talk about being bullied at school because of puberty, whatever it is, and you will find a comedian who is using their comedy to heal themselves and to teach others. And I just think that I didn't realize that all comedy wasn't just, silly or crude or funny. Some comedy is extremely sophisticated and intelligent and healing. So some isn't. So you got to work through some of it. But I would highly recommend Tig Notaro's work and Hannah Gatsby's work. She has 2 specials on Netflix as well, and hundreds of other comedians too. But that's an easy, free way for anybody who just doesn't want to talk to anybody about it, but just wants to watch a video. It'll help reframe your mood for sure.
Do you ever get clients who absolutely don't want to talk about what they've been through?
It's been a while since I've met anybody who didn't want to talk, because I mainly work with women, and I don't know any woman who doesn't want to talk about her stuff. I certainly know people who don't want to talk about the hardest of traumas right away, and they're more guarded. Their armor is pretty thick, and because they feel like they need to keep through the day. So that comes up a lot. But yeah, I can't think of a time in recent past where I've talked to somebody who didn't want to talk about their issues at all. Yeah, that doesn't happen a whole lot, especially in this year, because there's such collective, loss and grief and pain this year, that I think everyone's kind of sensitive and empathetic to the idea that this is a challenging year. It's part of the conversation now.
Do you work with men also, or do you just work with women?
I do work with men. I used to have co-ed group of Roar. Lately, it's been all women, but I have some male individual clients as well. And it's fascinating because it's hard for them to access pleasure as well. It's hard for them to ask for help. It's hard for them to talk about their emotions and past traumas. And yet, when you start storytelling and writing, or drawing or playing music, or like going through a creative avenue, it comes out, and it's really transformational. And I think that it would be a disservice to keep men out of the conversation, and all of this wonderful enlightenment and growth that women are experiencing right now. I certainly want to keep men and boys, my little boy included, in the conversation of being emotionally intelligent, asking for help, receiving help, accessing pleasure, and reclaiming their joy, for sure.
Do you ever work with, I mean, I know you work with your son, but do you ever work with other children?
I have some teens that I'm working with right now, one-on-one. And then in January, we're doing a teen roar for teen girls right now. And I'm collaborating with the TikTok queen, Samantha Ramsdell, is super famous and popular with the teens. I don't follow TikTok, but she's really famous on TikTok. And so she and I are going to collaborate and do a roar for teens. I don't often work with younger than teens. And I used to in my marriage and family therapy work as a system, as a family. So I would consider doing that, but it's not my current specialty, probably because I'm raising my own little one. And I don't know. I feel like my energy has been mostly towards the older adults, women and teens right now.
Wow. Is this work very different than your marriage and family counseling work?
Kind of. I mean, I see it all as related. I went from marriage and family therapy to holistic personal training and yoga to this life and laughter coaching. I see it all connected, and I pull in every aspect of those modalities in every session I do. But I can see how other people are like, that's random. But it's all about healing and holding space and being present to the person in conversation and allowing them to tell their stories, and then just figuring out creatively how to help. Because yesterday I was teaching somebody Tai Chi, and then the day before that I was teaching somebody stand up, and they have the same trouble, they would say, the same issue, but they're different people with different personalities, and their brains work in different ways. So I like that I have all these different modalities to pull from, and I think it makes me really well versed and willing and able to work with a wide variety of people.
So how would somebody know if they're ready to work with you?
If they're ready to work with me?
Yeah.
Gosh, I guess if you're ready to do some radical truth telling and heroic self-loving, I'm here. Is that scary? Does that sound scary? Gosh, I'm pretty approachable and really friendly, and not I don't think I'm a scary person to work with. So I'd like to think I could work with anybody. I would not be a good fit for somebody who's extremely results or numbers oriented, because it's just not the way my brain works. It's not the way I function. I'm far more about the interpersonal relationships and the transformation emotionally and energetically. So if you're looking to, like, for instance, as a personal trainer, people come to me and they've come to me and said, I want to increase the inches between my thighs, so my thigh gap is greater, and I want to lose 15 pounds by next month for this wedding. I am not your person, because I don't care what you weigh or how big your thigh gap is. And it's just not motivating. And so I would say, interesting. And so why do you care about all that? And if they're not, like, willing or able to understand why it matters so much to them that they'd want to lose weight for a wedding or get bigger thigh gap or whatever it is, then it would be that wouldn't necessarily be my perfect client, just because I want to get to the why and get to the stuff that matters. Sorry. Yeah.
So what are you most excited about right now?
When the world opens again, I'm going to take Roar as it was intended on stage. I'm going to travel around the country with it. So we're going to have Roar with Laughter shows on different stages around the country and beyond, hopefully. I'm going to go back to my women's wellness retreats. I'm going to lead international groups and get on big stages and share my message.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah. And what do you see as the biggest challenge going into 2021 for most people?
Uncertainty. Like, when can we look forward to booking a flight to go see our families again? I don't know when I'll see my older kids again or my parents again. It's been a year for me since I've seen my parents and my nieces and nephews who are growing every day. And that's the hardest part, is the uncertainty and then the loss of experiences like that, gathering and traveling. Yeah. For me, that is. And so it's daily mindfully pushing through those that sadness and struggle to still create and find ways to make this box of a laptop really fun.
Because let's face it, this experience of a laptop, this box that we're living in, is not necessarily the most fun thing in the world, is it?
It's really not. And as soon as I turn it off, I'm like, oh, because like you're with me now, which is really, really fun. I love talking. And then I go out and then I'm back into dishes and laundry, and it's monotonous and super boring. And just the Groundhog Day effect is starting to kick in. It's tiring. It's exhausting mentally and physically. And so to keep my energy up, I have hard conversations and I talk about things like trauma and I work with people. And so, that's how I gain my energy, is through hearing other people's stories. But I would love to do it live and in person. I would love to have face-to-face eye contact and big bear hugs after these conversations. And that is what I look forward to. Yeah.
I think we're all looking forward to that. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. So I just hugging.
Yeah. And please, can we please go somewhere for coffee? Please, can we go somewhere for coffee?
Coffee shop.
We'll stay at different tables. Can we have a coffee conversation?
I want a mug, like not to go. I want like a mug that like a barista made with a cool shape on it and like next to somebody. Yeah, I want that.
I know. I think we're all about ready for that.
Yep.
So Pasha, how can people get in touch with you?
The easiest way is actually through Facebook and just clicking on my name and going to my page or messaging me. I'm extremely responsive and will answer every message and would love to. I have through Calendly, I do calls, and I could set down the link in the comments where I do a free 30-minute call where we just talk and we say, or any of my services, something that would be of service to you. And I do have a web page for Roar with Laughter called roarwithlaughter.com. And I do have a January session starting soon, obviously. And my pashamarlowe.com page, which is experiencing slight technical difficulties at the moment, but does exist on a laptop, is there. But yeah, honestly, the easiest way is just like messaging me through Facebook. And then I'll toss down the Calendly link in case anybody wants to book a Healing with Humor call just to chat.
Do you have any kind of a freebie that our viewers can access?
Yeah, actually, thank you for reminding me. I have this idea that improv, we talked about this a little bit, Barbara, improv is just not about comedy. It's about being present with people and collaborating and conversation and being playful. And so I have these, my 5 favorite improv games that you could, as a coach, use, as a parent at the dining room table, or in any, family meeting, just anything online. My favorite 5 online improv games that you could play with no experience whatsoever to lead them or participate in them, that just evoke conversation and laughter and playfulness. So yeah, I have that and I will link that as well.
Okay, cool. Great. So if you'll send that to us, we'll put it in the show notes.
Cool, I will. Absolutely.
That would be great.
Super.
Yeah. Great. In fact, this is perfect timing, Pasha, because on Saturday I have a little meetup group that we all just kind of get together on Zoom now because we can't meet in person. So that'll be a good thing. I'll do a little game with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And people always get scared that they have to be funny to do improv, but it's actually the opposite. You just, if it's like a word association game, you're just thinking of a word. You don't have to be funny. Yeah. So yeah, the pressure's off. Right. There's dare to be dull.
Yeah. That'd be a really good thing for everybody who's having conversations on Christmas or on Hanukkah or whatever, because let's face it, especially if you're doing it virtually, there's space to fill. When a family's in a room together, there's conversations that go on, but when you're in a room with a bunch of people, a lot of times there's empty space, and one of these things can really fill that gap.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's true. And it's age friendly. You know what I mean? Like you could play the same improv game with a 6-year-old or a 60-year-old, whatever. It's, it's easy to access. So yeah, absolutely. Good.
Thank you, Amanda, for putting it out. I appreciate that. So anyway, Barb, any other questions or comments?
No, this was great. just really laughter, you know, and like for myself, my mission is to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. So,
Yeah.
and this is such a easy, and yet it's difficult, but it's an easy way to get in touch with that side of us that can bring back our joy and our happiness, and just to cope with the things that are going on rather than letting that trauma define who we are. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. This was great.
You're so welcome. And I know if people are watching sometimes, and I would be doing this, I'd be like, well, easy for you to access the humor and laughter because, you know, you find things funny, but it's a practice and anybody could do it. And I spent 40 years in a heavy, dark place. And only in my 50th year did I finally start to choose this. So you can learn it. It's a skill you can learn and practice, and then it could become part of your personality, and you'll have a lot more fun with yourself.
Yep, definitely. And if you're in a business, it's the same way. Make sure you're having some fun and laughter in your business every single day, because business, especially this year, business can be really traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because business is just a tool for life. So if you're, you know, if you're feeling some stress and struggle in your business right now, access the laughter. Get into one of Pasha's programs and find some humor so that you're able to, you know, keep on going and making a real difference in the world.
Thank you.
So perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you, Pasha.
Yes, thank you, Pasha.
Thank you.
And for all of you who are watching, if you watch this live, I know Amanda's on live. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're watching this on replay, please put in a hashtag replay in the comment section so we know you saw it in replay. And we'll be glad to hook you up with Pasha and any materials she's got.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Have a good day.